Hello everybody. A bit of a departure today because I am on my own. Sad face, Adam is not here, but he's busy being a Valentine. Him and Amy are away doing something. I don't know what they're doing, but yeah, so it's just me. But I am delighted to be joined by my wonderful friend and teacher and all that, Mr. Alyn Cosker. Hello, Alan.
Hello, Chris. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, good.
How were your gigs? You were away. You were playing with Martin Kershaw, is that right?
Yeah, I was playing with Martin last week. We just did 2 gigs. There was one in Aberdeen at the Blue Lamp.
Oh yeah.
And the Jazz Bar in Edinburgh.
Oh, cool. Was that playing Martin's music?
It was, yeah. So it was. It's musically, it was quite a departure from what I'd been doing previously. So it was, just to get my head into that was good fun.
Yeah, I think Martin can be quite out.
It's really, it can be. The music can be really, really beautiful and can be really, really terrifying at times as well.
I think if I remember rightly, he's got a song called "Slowly Dying."
Yeah. There's some interesting titles in there.
But you were playing with, I think, was it Callum Gourley playing bass with you?
On that one,
was it Callum?
Who was on bass? I can't even remember. It was Andrew Robb, great young bass player.
Yeah.
He's actually just moved to Glasgow.
Oh, has he?
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Fantastic player. Yeah, really good.
The jazz scene's kind of weirdly connected like that, isn't it? Everybody kind of knows everybody.
Yeah. It seems to be that a lot of players that once sort of migrated to Edinburgh are now sort of really moving all over to Glasgow now, which is quite interesting.
How is the scene these days?
In some ways I feel kind of connected to it. In some ways I'm maybe not so much connected to it as I once was, but as far as I can tell, it seems like there's a lot of, there is a lot of fantastic young players like creating sort of jam sessions and gigs for themselves to perform. So and then there's a lot of kind of cross pollination between the young players in terms of the music they create and all playing in each other's bands, which is beautiful.
Yeah, it seems to me anyway. I'm very much an outsider of it these days, but it's quite forward thinking.
Yeah,
a lot of the music's quite progressive and it's not very dusty. Like, it's not that dusty old jazz thing that some people I think can think it could be. Some amazing young drummers, man.
That's fantastic. Yeah, it's
Graham Costello seems to be.
Yeah, he's great. He's fantastic.
Climbing the ladder.
And as a composer as well, he's really writing some fantastic stuff from what I hear. And there's no shortage of great young players coming up. So it's
was it a tough scene for you to break into, or was it one you ended up in naturally?
That's a good question actually, but I think I was kind of for me getting involved in the scene sort of initially when I left uni, I certainly knew a lot of the young players of my era, and we would play a lot together around town, just in pubs like Blackfriars and stuff in Glasgow, and for 30 quid gigs and stuff. And so there was a period when I left. I sort of joined. Well, I did a gig with a Celtic rock band called Wolfstone for a few years. So that was a great thing for me to leave uni straight away and just basically have a job as a musician. So in between that, I was trying as best I can to as best as I could to get involved in the jazz scene, and it's like anything else, playing with your peers, and so it took a little while, I think, in that respect to get involved. But maybe by the time I was maybe like 23. 24, things started to open up for me in that regard. I guess really for me, once I started doing stuff with Tommy Smith and the Jazz Orchestra, I did sort of see a difference in sort of people's perception, almost, if that's the best way to explain it.
Phone starts ringing more.
It did, and it sort of I just noticed it seemed to be, just more people seem to call when that happens, So
apologies if this is the wrong word to use, but it seems like in some respects Tommy's kind of a mentor.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I think that's probably the best word to use. And he's always been a kind of strong musical figure in my life. I first met him when I hadn't long started playing, really, when I was about 13. And I kind of got to know him a little bit over the years, but I didn't see him for a long time. But all of a sudden, I sort of started, he was appearing at a couple of gigs that I was doing and whatnot, and I ended up sort of just covering for a couple of things for the SNJO. But yeah, as a mentor, I've in terms of a musical force, he's really quite incredible in terms of work ethic and trying to get better. And trying to just always improve as a musician, and yeah, he's up there for a reason. Do you know what I mean?
For sure.
He's definitely,
I would agree. Do you think having a mentor's an important thing for a young musician? Because I don't know that it's something that's really talked about much, especially in the jazz scene.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people in the musical theatre world that talk about it a lot, and that's quite a normal thing in that scene. But I don't know that it's as big in the jazz scene or the pop scene.
Yeah, I mean, I can only speak for myself, really, but I know I've had like sort of several figures in my life that musically that I've really, them being there has really sort of, made me want to strive to get better as a musician and indeed as a person as well. So I think it is really good that I find myself at this stage in my career, if you want to call it that, but that. I sort of work with a lot of younger musicians now in terms of teaching and whatnot, and I feel it's my role to try and be as honest as I can with them about what the reality is out there, and sort of try and be as honest as I can with them and trying to help them achieve their drumming ambitions, musical ambitions, whatever. And also what I find is actually, as I work with students a lot more, they want to talk about more than that. They want to talk about the psychological aspects of this happened in a rehearsal or this, or what do you think of this situation? Is that all that kind of stuff. So it's I feel it's really important to try and be as honest as you can to help them with what you've experienced. And
yeah, I would agree. I mean, I certainly remember we would have a lot of chat like that through lessons at college. I mean, some lessons could be just that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
not necessarily touching a drum.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think depending on where you are in your life, that might be what's actually more important.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a friend of mine would take lessons with the amazing Terry Lynn Carrington in Boston, and he said that he found that he ended up just like chatting for about she would chat about experiences with, I don't know, like Herbie Hancock or whatever, just whoever she's played with, and he walked out those lessons feeling uplifted and like ready to sort of deal with situations and whatnot. So that kind of really hit home with me, just in terms of, but of course it is important to knuckle down and sort of get...
for sure. I mean, like some of those things that we worked on are still majorly relevant every time I sit behind the drums.
Man, well, it was a pleasure to work with yourself, Chris.
I remember things, I was thinking about this recently, there's quite a correlation. I've been doing jiu-jitsu for like 18 months now.
Right, okay, yeah.
And there's a correlation a lot between music and that. People want to learn the tricks.
Yeah.
But I remember you would force us on super fundamentals, which is like key to pretty much everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't, till you come out and you find yourself in that situation where you need them, okay.
Yeah,
I get it now. I get why we weren't doing that and why we were learning just to make the stick do all the work. Yeah,
absolutely. For me, it's like even now, regardless if I play a complicated piece of music or play like a drum solo in a weird time signature or whatever, but ultimately for me it comes down to the basics at all levels, like where just trying to have the best sound you can, the best time you can, and just be as succinct as you can be as a player, So.
Do you have to check back in with that stuff a lot?
I mean, I do go back to just, I've certain ways where, I'll practice a certain thing, like just the basic tier system of say you practice like a double stroke roll, and then as quavers, then quaver triplets, then semi-quavers. I kind of apply that to most things. So that's something that I started doing when I was a kid, and I still apply that to pretty much anything that I do with a metronome as well. And I'm still, I'm still trying to get better at playing in time, and working on areas that I'm not so comfortable with, and so it's always going back to the basics for me. But that said, I'm kind of getting a little bit more into sort of writing things down and trying to be mathematical about things, but then go away and try and just be musical about it as well. Yeah, if that makes sense. It
totally does. It's a perfect distinction between the two. You have always been one to sort of I want to say keep it in the family. So what I mean by that is, like, the people that you choose to play things have been always really strong friendships in your life or something, like the guys that play in your band and that kind of thing. Was that something you developed, or were these relationships things like you made at college with those people that you, like guys like Paul Townsend, you've played with Paul for years now?
Yeah.
Was that something that you took from college, or is it just a theme that's always been sort of relevant to you?
Well, I think it's, it really stems from, like, I guess my dad really, because he always had, like, when he was the sort of MD, like in the Gaiety Theatre in Ayr, when I was a kid, he always had musicians that he thought were really great players that could do the job, but he said most importantly for that situation, certainly, that they had to be guys that he could get on with, and would be respectful, but as for him to be the boss and whatnot, but ultimately would be there for have a good laugh but get the job done well, and so it's one of these situations that it's really, I've seen it since I was really, really young. So and I guess with regard my own band, that's definitely the case. There definitely has to be this social element for me where for instance, like Davey Dunsmuir, the guitarist, I've known him since pretty much I think when I just started playing, when I was 13, because he was brought up in Cumnock, just outside there, and like, he was brought in, like the main band at the school. Their guitarist left. I wasn't. It was a fantastic musician called Ross Cooney that played drums in that band. But they brought. Basically, Davey got recommended to play with that band to replace him, and I heard a demo of him recording this solo on it when he must have been only 13, 14 at the time, and I just remember I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And actually, my drum teacher at the time, who actually recommended him for this band, sort of said, "Well, he plays drums better than you as well." So
why does that not surprise you?
Yeah, he's just an incredible musician. So so I've known Davey since then, and we eventually I started doing sort of club gigs with him, and so he was just always this phenomenal talent. So yeah, I mean, to cut a long story short, when it just seemed like perfect sense to have like Davey involved. When we first started doing it, it was actually a trio with Ross Hamilton on bass, and Davey had never really played I don't know if you want to call the music I write jazz or whatever you want to call it, but he hadn't really played in that vein. But I knew that he would be fantastic, and he just took to it like a duck to water. And but so and he's just really blossomed as a musician. He's really fantastic. And with Colin Cunningham, the bass player, he's another close friend. We did lots of tours with Wolfstone, so we know each other inside out, and it's just we can talk to each other openly and honestly about stuff musically and otherwise. And Steve Hamilton, the great piano player, we've been friends. He's been I think actually when I think about it, he was really key to me getting kind of involved with a lot of things, you know,
Right.
musically. So I feel like I owe him quite a lot.
Uh-huh.
Actually, he's been really helpful,
Right.
and just a phenomenal guy.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Do you think it? Well, obviously it does, but how do you think it makes the music better? That you write.
Well, yeah, I think from I don't know. I can only speak for myself. I don't know how the other guys think about it, but I try my best not like to create a feeling of I really want. Oh, okay, this might be a kind of tricky tune to play, but I'd rather we take risks over it than and fail, and we'll find the one again somehow. Do you know what I mean? And then play completely safe, which.
Yeah.
You know, I've been guilty of, and I know I've seen it with other musicians at points, you know, where it's let's just keep it as safe as we can just to hold it together. Whereas, you know, I think there's that element of trust between us all, where, you know, because of that sort of, you know, friendship, that there is that element where, you know, people are willing to sort of just go, no, I'm just going to try this, and if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. But usually it goes right with those guys, you know. It's great.
Kind of almost like they have your back.
Absolutely, they've saved me on countless occasions.
It's funny because it makes it feel like a band. I know that sounds kind of arbitrary, but there's a lot of jazz music, if you like, is just kind of not. I don't want to say cobbled together. The band is cobbled together, but that's what it feels like at times to me. That I've heard this guy's great, we'll get him. I've heard this guy's great, we'll get him, and we'll see what happens. And
absolutely.
Inevitably, it's not as good as it could be.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times I've find myself turning up. Well, I have in the past, turned up to gigs, and it's been a situation of right, just read the charts down a couple hours before you actually play the gig, and it's billed as a band sort of thing. And sometimes I have felt like it's not really a band, is it? I don't really know how to explain that, but that said, there is power to that as well. Sometimes just turning up and playing with people you've never played with before can be equally as magical as well. It can be. I have experienced that for sure. But that said, I really like the situation of having getting together for a rehearsal for 6 hours like a band does. Before like a month before a gig, and then doing the same thing again, just to try and work on, let the music evolve of its own accord to a certain extent, and let the voices sort of merge in a way.
It feels like it's a thing that's common in other styles like rock music. I think I was reading or listening to Antonio Sanchez talk about it. It's like a lot of jazz musicians could learn from going to see a band like Kiss.
Oh yeah,
because what a show you get.
Yeah, and
the camaraderie and how tight the music is and how tight the band are together, and whereas some jazz musicians are like cracking in jokes on the stage and they have their band the back to the audience, and that there's no real performance element to it that I think rock music or pop music or whatever could really teach these guys.
Sure, yeah.
But I think with your band, certainly it always feels like there's a show and you're all together.
Yeah, well, it's definitely, we definitely try and have fun. Most importantly, I think that's one of the it's putting this unit together, and is ultimately I want everybody to have a good time. If we're having a good time on stage, then hopefully that really translates across to what a friend of mine sort of explained it. Should feel like your living room that you're playing to, what I mean? It's that kind of make everyone feel comfortable cool. and have fun.
Come on in.
And actually just talking about like Konrad Wisniewski's been doing some gigs with us. And
he's rubbish, eh?
He's terrible. Yeah.
Aye.
Come on, get it together, son. But no, and just the element of not only like his phenomenal playing that he brings to the situation, but just in terms of like the energy right on the stage, it's like it really gives everyone a boost.
For sure.
In it. So, but yeah, it's hugely important that the goal is that for me anyway is that regardless of whether you're a musician or not, if you're at one of our gigs, I really want you to connect with us in some way. I don't want you to feel alienated. I want you to feel part of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Part of the band.
So there was, what, 9 years between records?
Yeah.
How did you change as a composer? Because I think this is again going to sound, I don't mean this to sound like it does, but there's a real maturity in the new record that it's like everything's just kind of settled. Like the first album's amazing, but there's very, very different. I feel like you're just happy to play grooves and stuff.
Yeah. I think with this album, well, certainly with the first one, you know, it was all very kind of new to me in terms of like trying to really, you know, being confident enough to actually air my compositions to or tunes to anybody, you know. So, but I think there was an element of me with that where I was trying to, I deliberately was trying to sort of show different stylistic, you know, facets that I like to play, whether it be like a, you know, on the title track, Poinciana groove, you know, and like Vernal Fournier, and then something in 7, then something in 5, and you know, like one of the tunes, Oh Dear, that I wrote for it, and I still really enjoy playing that. It goes between like 5, 4, and 9, 8, I think. But the only reason I did that is I wrote that tune is because I couldn't play in 5 and I couldn't play in 9. So I was like, I thought, right, if I write something, then you know it's gonna really help me. Yeah. So there was a lot of elements to that. It's certainly with the writing aspect that was to try and help me grow not only as a composer but as a player. You know. So, and I think that's it, you know, it's quite a broad spectrum stylistically. I think on the first album. But which I'm really super proud of, you know. I'm really glad I did it, you know. But with this one, I kind of, you know, it's a big thing for me to try and be as musically honest as I can be, you know, when I play or write. So with this one, I just sort of set about, you know, just being, what do I actually really like here? And some compositions I thought, I'm not being honest enough here. So everything that's on there, from my point of view, is really coming from an honest place. And I think it's, and really thinking about that. There's actually some, you know, chordal connections to tracks in the previous album, you know, and there's links. There's basically 3 points in the album where I play that, you know, we have a similar chord sequence just as a little quote type thing throughout the course of the album. So there's lots of little things that I've kind of, the intention certainly has been to try and sort of make it more like a, I don't want it, maybe a movie, I guess, could be, where you know, it has a collection of moods where it's like, you know, the hopeful start at the beginning, you know what I mean, and the sort of the low period, the triumphant period, do you know what I mean, all that kind of thing. And that was certainly the goal with it, for it to be, you know, kind of a story, really. So I think I knew that when I was sort of, you know, wanting to put it together, that was kind of what the goal was. So would you, when you were writing tunes then, did you write them with that thought process in mind, or did you just write and then decide which order they went in based on their tone? Yeah, it's kind of all of the above, really. Do you know what I mean? It's like for some, there was an element of thinking of it as a thing in its entirety, but then there was maybe tunes that I didn't write with any intention other than just seeing what comes out, and like found that it maybe, you know, it just really worked with it. So yeah, it's a tough one, because like one of the opening track on it, I actually started writing that in just after I'd finished released the first album, the track Serenity, and but you know, I really didn't finish writing that though until, you know, just before we recorded it, basically. So it's one of those. So you see what I mean? It's like it's all really mismatched. But some of it was, a lot of it was written on the lead up to the process of doing it as well. Right. Do you know what I mean? So there's elements, and the song We Were Young, that Eddie sings on, that was kind of written maybe 2010 as well. So so there's a couple of elements that were, you know, from, you know, that I'd written a while before, you know.
So that's almost how they're connected then, because they're still within that process of the first record.
Definitely.
Right.
So but then it's kind of got that side of thinking about the kind of all the picture of moods, basically.
For sure. It's quite unique as well in that there's on for what is for the most part an instrumental record, there's actual vocals, songs as well that have been sung. Was that a conscious choice to write lyrics and write like at these points I'm going to have people sing these, or was it just it felt right, it happened? And because it's an unusual thing for me to like. There's it's not unusual to have lyrics in jazz music. That's not what I mean.
Sure. No, I know what you're saying. You know, I probably, you know, when I think, you know, about myself as a musician, I mean, I talked about the first album, sort of saying I'm showcasing all the different sort of styles and stuff that I like. I think I did that less so in this case, except from the point of view that, you know, I love working with singers as well. Do you know what I mean? So, and I love getting the opportunity to do it, and
good ones, especially. My wife's a singer, so I absolutely 100% agree.
Fantastic singer, yeah. So, it was my intention to actually have songs on it, you know, and initially I actually approached other people to write the lyrics for it, because I don't really feel like I'm, you know, I wouldn't really rate myself as a lyricist, but you know, when push came to shove, I kind of had no choice but to do that in the end, you know, and it was, you know, just the vocalist that I managed to get, I was really, again, it's another thing of I really feel I have to have you know, when you're talking about the family thing, like Rachel Lightbody for me is she's just a sweetheart of a girl, and she can really sing, and you know, there's that element of I really wanted to try and showcase her, you know, and I was, you know, in my own small way, you know what I mean,
for sure,
and I thought she sang beautifully on it. She's really great, and at the time I was doing some. Where Eddie Reader came in, I was doing some recording for her at the time, and like, she came in and just nailed it as well. She was just fantastic, and just, you know, somebody that I've worked with off and on for you know, quite a few years now.
She's a legend, eh?
Oh, she's great. She's a legend of a person. She's just brilliant. She just, you know, we did a gig with her with the big band just you know, a couple of weeks ago, and she just lifts the room, you know, just amazing, just really great fun, but really amazing as well. So, but yeah, she was great. She came in and just was like, you know, 1 or 2 takes. that was that, you know. Then an old friend of mine called Fraser Anderson, who lives down in Bristol. It's Bristol, yeah. He flew up and actually to record on the track 2 Stars in the Sky. And he did great. It was like we used his first take. Wow. And you know, he's got some voice, man. He's great. He makes me think of Paul Buchanan. Totally. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. His albums are fantastic, you know, as well. And so I knew him from years ago because I worked with. They asked me to play in some recordings with him and a great friend of mine now, Adam Bully, guitarist. Right. They had a band together, writing some beautiful songs, you know. So it was many moons ago that I recorded some stuff for them. But Adam actually plays on the album. When I think about it, he plays some mandolin on the opening track, believe it or not. Just fantastic musician. But yeah. So I mean, the song, you know, the songs were definitely, you know, is a reflection of who I am. You know, I love songs. You know, I think as drummers, that's one thing we get to enjoy, is the fact that we don't. You know, as well as working on sort of harmony side of things and all that stuff, as you know, all musicians do, and quite rightly so. I think it's as drummers, we can really appreciate just the value of like playing behind the song, you know, and hopefully that comes across the right way. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I think you've also spent a lot of time in the folk world as well, talking about Woolstone and all that, and that kind of world. So I think there feels like that in the music as well. There's this sort of, you said cross-pollination earlier. I think there's a real thing with that. Did you steal anything from those worlds as well? 'Cause
well, yeah, I mean, for the absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's probably all stolen, to be honest. But definitely, you know, I've been really fortunate. You know, some of the gigs I've been doing with like Capper Cayley and Michael McGoldrick and stuff over the last sort of, you know, there are just little pockets here and there, not you know, but they're hugely, you know, influential to me, you know, and talking about Michael's, his, I don't know if it was his debut album, I don't think it was, but this album that he recorded called Fused,
right?
That was you know, I started doing the sort of Woolstone gig, and all that world kind of really, I mean, I'd done about 1 million Cayleys up to that point, but you know, that the world, the sort of Celtic world really opened up to me is when I started doing the Woolstone thing, and that album in particular was like hugely influential. It was one of those ones that would, you know, it's like D'Angelo's Voodoo to me, where I had that on loop for about a year, but it was like that with Fused as well, like, you know, so there's definitely, I've definitely, you know, taken elements from that for sure, you know.
Switching gears a bit, you're also the in-house tutor for the Conservatoire.
Yeah.
And you've been doing that since 2009?
It must be,
that's when it started, eh? So
yeah.
Does having taught within that school for that length of time, does that, or the way you teach now, influence the way you play, and vice versa?
I think it's got to. Yeah, I think it has. Yeah. You know, initially, when I first started doing it, I'll be honest, I was kind of reluctant because I just kind of slightly nervous about, you know, wasn't feeling quite ready to do it. Do you know what I mean? In a lot of ways, but you know, certainly you tried my best, you know, at it, but I feel, you know, I've definitely learned a lot from you know, trying to help the students and sort of how I see, you know, just sort of going, right, maybe you could try this, maybe you could try that, blah de blah, and sort of going, but well, Al, maybe you could try that. do you know what I mean? That kind of thing. So it's you know, it's really I do, you know, after that initial sort of, you know, slight nervousness or reluctant you know, side of things to do it, you know, getting the real pleasure from seeing that you're actually helping somebody has been really, really rewarding, and really, you know, actually I always felt with the teaching side of things that I'm not going to do that until I feel that I'm kind of qualified enough to do that. So it's been a kind of good confidence booster in terms of me sort of going, right, no, I can see that I'm actually helped. This young musician is actually growing from the odd bit of advice that I can offer, and you know, whether that be technical, musical, or psychological, or, you know, all of them.
Do you still teach actual classes?
No, it's all, at the moment it's 1-to-1.
Right.
So
because I remember we would have you as a tutor for like original composition classes where we were playing, you know, we might be playing Tommy's music, or we would have a gig coming up where we would be playing another lecturer's music, and you would often take us through that. Must have been quite a strange feeling to be guiding like an entire ensemble. Yeah. I mean, it strikes me as quite stressful, actually.
It was, you know, I loved working with you guys. It was great in that regard. Because I think, I mean, the way a lot of the times as a drummer, you're kind of there to you know, A, you've got to know when to speak, and B, when not to speak as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's like you've kind of got to, you know, be really respectful and recognise that you're there to offer a service to that band leader or producer or whoever. You know, so often you're kind of there as a, you know, supportive role type thing. So it was quite it was doing that kind of thing. It's almost like rehearsing your own band. It's like, oh, all of a sudden I have to do all the talking here and sort of make suggestions and blah blah blah, etc., etc. Whereas you make suggestions by sort of trying to, when you're being there as a drummer, trying to just support and make their music the way they want to make it, and hopefully you can add your personality to that as well. But
for sure.
So it's it was a different thing to do that. But again, the way I sort of try and approach it is, this is just from my point of view that I feel might help you, and other people might have a different perspective. In fact, I know that can often be the case, so it's like, whenever I teach somebody, I'm sort of saying, look, this is coming from my point of view. This is where I'm at this given point in my musical journey, man. But so it's so I'm just, again, that honesty thing, I'm just trying to approach it from that honest point of view, and just use my ears and sort of go, this is what I feel. Maybe this will help. Maybe it won't.
It's like almost outside perspective.
Try.
For sure. So it's no secret that the big band, the Alyn plays for the Scottish National Jazz Orchestra, and you've held that chair for quite some time. There's some big guests come through, man. There's some been really amazing artists that band have played with. How do you navigate that as a player when they're trying to get a vision across to 20 people? And like, you're not in a section in the same way. You don't have 4 other trumpets or 3 other trumpets that have you back. You're kind of the Heejin.
Well, it's definitely, like, playing with the band. Every project that I've done with it has, it's kind of been like a learning experience, each one of them, and for the most part, the artists are super cool, super lovely, and super, and I've had some of the most amazing experiences that with some of the artists that have came through, but then there's some that are maybe more demanding than others in terms of what they want. But it's one of those things. I try. Usually, I know who the artist is anyway. So I've kind of got an idea of stylistically where they're coming from. Okay. But what I will do is really try and sort of check out the music as much as I can beforehand, and check out even a lot of their music that they aren't going to play on that project, if you know what I mean. Just to get a feel for what's the drummer doing here, what's how is it, does this artist like a drummer that sits a little bit on top of the beat, or a bit behind, and all that stuff, and is it more of a groove sound, is it more of a open jazz kind of kit sound that they prefer as an overall picture kind of thing. But I mean, usually I try and devote as much time as I can to in advance, just to really work on any music that I have to. You got to do a deep dive into Buddy Rich, eh? Yeah. That must have been pretty amazing. It was an amazing experience. It was when we did the I can't remember when that was, but that might be 2009 or maybe a bit later than that. I don't know. But anyway, we did that. So it was like three gigs basically, but I took at the time I basically took like the month off, with the exception of a couple of things beforehand, just to try and really as best I could really. How I did it was like Buddy, he wouldn't read charts that he didn't. Right. I don't think he read, but so I didn't use any charts for that. So I just memorised, So that was hence the taking the month off and just to try and really digest it, and so that in itself, like learning the West Side Story thing and medley and just all the other classics that he would do, was a kind of undertaking that I wanted, almost out of respect for Buddy. Do you know what I mean? I didn't want to, because he's such a huge influence on me, especially when I was a kid. Just massive influence. So I took a good bit of time off and just really was like playing all day, every day kind of thing.
Okay,
I've had little pockets in my life like that, where I've really sort of went right all day kind of thing. 9 in the morning to 9 at night. With obviously with breaks and stuff. But don't get me wrong, it's not like I do that all the time.
No.
But I have had little pockets like that.
Must have been like a proper technique boost there, because you just have to he was the king of the hill for so long, and so much of the language that gets played now has come from guys like him.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Just all that time spent just with the snare drum
is unbelievable. I mean, my approach was I'm never going to be Buddy Rich. Do you know what I mean? It's just not gonna happen. But I really wanted to do my best to sort of pay homage to somebody that, look, for so many of us was a hero. And but yeah, after that I did feel like certainly technically that in some aspects I'd sort of maybe jumped a little bit up after that. And the drum solo from where he guests with the Frank Sinatra big band, is the concert of the Americas, I think it is.
Okay.
I really sort of went to town just like trying to visually transcribe as best I could, but not writing it down, just trying to work on it, bit by bit. And I got a fair bit through it, so I think that really helped, just that constant sort of repeating process of trying to, over that period, it really helped me with my hands at that point.
For sure. I think there's a common misconception with him that he sold loads, but I think it was like one a night or something.
I think Buddy can kind of get perceived as this almost like the chops guy of his time, but if you actually listen to what he's playing, it's so musical. Musical. I've learned so much from just that one guy alone.
There's a great clip of him playing trio with Michelle Petrucciani, and I think it's Dave Carpenter, and he's playing brushes.
Really? Right.
And it's just the best thing you've ever heard. It's just so swinging, and he like they trade in fours and stuff.
Right. Okay.
But it's never over the top.
Right.
But it's just as over the top. It's every bit as over the top as Buddy could be. But it's like. Yeah, I think he was perceived as this sort of he was obviously a really bullish guy, but the whole thing was about him, but it wasn't really true. It was it was about as much about the band as it was anything else.
Definitely, definitely.
He's pretty amazing.
So musical, and it just could drive a band, just incredible.
For sure.
But I've heard a couple of things when playing brushes, and it is so beautiful the way he plays it. I need to check out more.
I'll try and find the clip again, because it's with the band, but they're just playing trio.
Right.
I think it's Dave Carpenter playing bass. It was back when Dave Carpenter played with them.
Oh right, okay, wow.
And it's great. I think Dave Carpenter's 18 years old or something.
Jeez.
And it's just it's absolutely magic. Well, there's a side of Buddy Rich that nobody sees, man.
Of course,
because they just see big swing face or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Adam has asked me to ask you if you could explain some of the biggest moments of your career and some of your favourite gigs.
Oofed.
So that question's not a small question, I'm sorry.
Biggest moments. Wow, that's that is a good question. A little personal moment that for me was blew my mind was just having this was in a rehearsal. It was with the SNJO, and I've actually got a photograph of it somewhere, but of just jamming with John Schofield, just myself and him.
Oh wow!
For I don't know, 5 minutes. We were just jamming together, kind of thing. And, we had this big sort of open section where it was just drums and guitar, kind of just going for it. And And I was so nervous because John Scofield's like musically one of my heroes. He's great.
Sure.
But he's super lovely guy. But I think when I first started doing it, I was like every 4 bars I was going like bang. This is the top of the 4 bars. For whatever reason. And he kind of didn't he wanted it to feel like a big open, no sort of 8-bar or 16-bar feel to it, sort of thing. He wanted it just to feel like it's a constant one.
Right.
And then that was like the only thing we discussed the entire project. And then we talked about it there, and I went, I'm sorry, man, I'm just quite nervous. And he goes, I'm nervous too, man, I'm nervous too. And so we did that, we jammed there for maybe like 5 minutes, and he was just like loving it, and we had a great time.
Yeah.
And, but that musically, that was an amazing experience, like just to work, because I'd listened to so much of his music, and Bill Stewart's one of my favourite drummers as well, and so it was that was definitely a highlight.
So was it all Schofield tunes you played?
Yeah, was it? I think so.
Right.
As far as I can recall. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was.
Amazing.
That was really cool. And what was the other question? Sorry.
He asked, what was it he said? Some of your biggest moments of your career and some of your favourite gigs.
All right. Okay. Well, that would definitely be one of my favourite gigs as well. I think going to Japan with Eddie Reader was really amazing as well. That was an amazing experience. Just and just musically as well, how free spirited it was as well. Just like how she would like just call songs that you didn't know on the stage, but somehow you kind of got through it. Do you know what I mean? It's like it was an amazing experience, and she just fills you with confidence to do it. Do you know what I mean? So
you'll be fine.
I'll be fine. So goodness me, I'm gonna. Well, I guess another. A huge experience for me was recording in Avatar Studios in New York. That was pretty mind blowing to think who'd been in there, and just as a kid I've always dreamt of sort of that New York thing, like either living there or working there or whatever. So it was a little bit of a kind of wow, I can't believe I'm here doing this, and so it was pretty, and just the kind of the list of players that were coming through, like on that session as well, was it was like Mike Stern, Randy Brecker, and like just all walking in and being as normal as anybody else. You know what I mean? Just really cool and really nice. So that was pretty mind blowing experience. That
would be. Who was the engineer? James Farmer.
Yes, it was. It was. Yeah.
And I think he's in with the bricks in there.
Yeah, and he had 2 assistants that were doing a lot of the running about basically.
Amazing.
But he was cool. He was super nice. Really great.
Am I right in saying they can change the panels in the room?
Yeah. They can
totally change how reflective it is and all that.
It was an amazing setup.
I bet it was, man.
And just the booth that I was in was just like as big as most studios.
Wow! Yeah.
But it was cool. It was really just a beautiful one of those experiences you definitely don't take for granted.
For sure. Yeah, it's great. Kind of surreal almost.
Yeah,
because were you there for a week or something? Because I think the band were playing over there. The SNJO were playing over there or something.
Yeah. How did it work again?
He's playing the Spirit of Duke or something.
We're doing the Duke Ellington stuff. Yeah, and. So it was kind of surreal playing all this, playing like, rocking out with Mike Stern over a tune called Splats during the day, and then at night we went to like, New York University and putting our little bow ties on, and then playing the sort of music of Duke Ellington. Amazing. So it was quite a contrast to go from that to that, but incredible experience.
Yeah, that sounds it. Yeah. Do these guys just let you be like when you're playing? If you've got it like. I know you said that Schofield did, but like Cistern and all that, did he just?
He was great.
They kind of know you're there to do a job, and
he was absolutely. He was just funny. He was great fun, and like he was like burst into and he goes, "Hey Tommy, can I get a chart?" and I can't really say it, so there's nothing I can fucking read like that, So he was just great fun, really
sets
cool.
the tone straight away.
Brilliant, just really funny, and And again, when he came over to do the project with the band, he was just great fun.
Yeah,
you know,
that is mega player.
Yeah, it's a sweetheart, total sweetheart. You know.
Do you have a dream gig?
Yeah, I mean, I've got.
Like, I'd love to play for Tori Amos.
Right, wow, that's a cool gig.
I've wanted to play that since I saw her with Matt Chamberlain.
What did you see that gig?
I saw it in Glasgow with Matt Chamberlain and John Evans, just three of them. I was like, that's the gig. That would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be incredible. Matt Chamberlain's really something, isn't he?
He is. He's amazing, and especially on that stuff.
I could imagine. I'd love to. That'd be a great gig to see.
It really was amazing. He's just the boss of that.
Yeah,
you know, without doing anything.
Yeah,
he's the boss of that band.
He totally runs it.
And he'll just play like Boots and Cats,
right?
And it's dead simple.
Yeah,
but it's just, man, I think those three as a unit were just amazing.
I mean, he's done that for a long time now, hasn't he?
I don't think he does it anymore, because I think the past few records she's done have been like solo records or concert records with the orchestra.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
So, yeah, she's doing a slightly different thing. But yeah, he did like 8 albums or something.
Wow.
Crazy. Yeah. And they range from weird electronic to just super stripped back acoustic.
Yeah.
But that would be, if I could pick any gig off the top of my hat, I would do that.
Yeah,
I'd love to do that gig.
Right, wow, man. Well, who knows?
That's where I'm going. That's where I'm going now.
Is it all right? Okay, we'll need to cut this short. I mean, for the longest time, you know, I was so into, you know, I still love it, but it's you know, it's like so many drummers in the world, like the Sting gig.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like when, especially that, I loved that band, the era with. It was Dominic Miller, Vinny, of course, and David Sanchez. That era of the band was just wow. You know, so that as a kid, that was another one of those. You know, the Sting in Oslo thing. It was on Channel 4. I taped it, and it was like, you know, when I was a kid, and it was just round over and over and over and over. It's you know, and you know, even when I watch that concert to this day, Vinny's just unbelievable.
He's a mega. I remember Ryan Ross used to have the opening of Mercury Falling as his alarm clock. You know, that double stroke roll right at the beginning of the record. That was Ryan's alarm.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So it's like total drum nerd, but absolutely like just the cleanest double stroke roll you ever did here. Wake
it's
up.
So great. Yeah, it's so brilliant. Yeah. That's a good way to ease into
the
day,
man.
Right enough.
Totally. But yeah, that would be an amazing gig.
Yeah. I mean, you know, but you know, to Vinny on that gig is just so ridiculous. Yeah, he's so amazing.
He's crazy.
I think again another gig would be the Peter Gabriel thing. You know, it's
really?
the Peter Gabriel thing.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, just in terms of this, I love the song so much.
Yeah,
and, you know,
and again, Manu Kashi.
And I really like the guy Jed Lynch that played on the like Growing Up tour, and I think he did. I don't know if he did the double thing with. I think Sting and Peter Gabriel did a double tour.
That's right. I think you're right. I think they went out together.
But I sadly couldn't get to see that. But
that's right. That was like a few years ago, wasn't
it? Yeah. But Jed Lynch is great. I think he played with that band, Black Grape. For
really?
I think so. I might be speaking out of turn there, but yeah.
No, that sounds familiar actually.
I think he played with them. But
well, there you go.
You know, that's I think I've totally got, you know, dreams to play with artists and musicians and stuff. I'm trying my best to sort of recognise that I'm kind of lucky, you know, to be doing what I'm doing just now as well. Do you know what I mean? So,
for sure.
You know, so it's really, but you know, I totally have those dreams.
I think they're important.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I think they all too often get missed, and they can keep you behind the instrument. Actually,
yeah, sure.
For me, you know, I grew up. It's no secret, I grew up listening to Smashing Pumpkins were my thing growing up. Like Jimmy Chamberlain was absolutely my hero.
Right, okay.
And the amount of times just putting a record on has got me back playing again. Yeah, you know, just kind of stoke the fire a wee bit.
Absolutely.
And it's like a little bit of home.
Yeah.
When I listen to that music, it sounds a bit weird, but I'm so comfortable with that music. I know that music inside out. Like, you know, when you cop all their chops and you learn all their stuff, you know, I could play every album.
Sure, right, okay.
Knew all the songs, like, because I found the band as I found the drums. I got into both at exactly the same time.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah. And he was one of the first players I had heard, and I was like, I don't know what that is, but I want to do that.
You want to do that?
Yeah, it's amazing, you know. So I think it's really important.
And did you have a kit in the house when you first started playing?
I did, because the old man had one.
Right, okay.
So because my dad was a drummer, so
that's right. Yeah.
So there was always drums in my house. That's why gigging is normal to me.
It's in your blood.
You must see it as well. Your dad bringing keyboards home at 2 a.m. is like the most normal thing in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like crossing the door with drums is just.
Yeah, you don't know any different.
No,
you know what I mean?
They would wake you up coming home. You would hear the band bringing the drums in, and they would be having a laugh, and it would be the most normal thing in the world.
Man, brilliant. Yeah.
And I think it's to have all that is perfectly normal. And I think that it's kind of. It's not stressed often enough, you know.
Yeah.
When I used to teach young kids, it was like go and find something.
Yeah,
I think it's missing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that draws you in. Do you know what I mean?
For sure.
For me, it was actually it was Roger Taylor from Queen and Mitch Mitchell at the same time. You know, those two guys just
like polar opposites as well.
I know. It's really, but. I don't know, just at the same time they just made me want to practice, you know.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
You know,
try to play Fire and all that.
Yeah. And my poor parents having to hear me playing Foxy Lady on the beats.
Brilliant.
Bashing away, but it's absolutely. If that was the kind of, and that in a way led me round to sort of my dad sort of saying, have you heard this? Not forcing me around, but just. Check out some Oscar Peterson
for sure.
And I was like, wow, that's great. Like Night Train became like my going to bed album and stuff. And when I was I didn't really know what was going on, but I just loved the sound and could connect it. So.
I remember I would listen to I've still got them, the old man's vinyls, and I've got Big Swing Face on vinyl, like an original copy on vinyl.
Wow, cool.
And like Louis Bellson's Matterhorn. And all these all these old school Buddy and Louis records that put on, and like again, just you don't know what it is, but it sounds amazing. Yeah, Ginger Baker's Air Force with Ginger Baker and Phil Seaman doing a double drum solo.
Oh man, I need to check that out. I've never. That would be amazing.
It's a live at the Albert Hall, and they do Toad, which was a Cream song.
Okay,
and Toad was always a sort of feature for Ginger. But the two of them go head to head, and it's amazing.
I'd love to hear that with Phil Seaman as
well.
Yeah,
it's great, man. I'll dig it out. And have you got a vinyl player?
No, I don't. But
right.
I'm getting one.
Right. Okay. Let me know when you do, and I'll pass it up because it's really worth a listen. Like it's worth a listen for that track.
Oh sure, yeah.
It's just amazing, and I would like try and learn what they were doing. And
Ginger Baker, man, he was ridiculous,
maniac.
Yeah,
but
like crazy, but amazing.
I mean, these guys they changed a lot of how the drums were even thought of. Yeah. From sort of Gene Krupa, you can almost pinpoint it to these guys. Yeah.
Did Phil Seaman not teach Ginger Baker or something?
Yeah,
like
that's right. They were old friends and
and
he was one of the few people I think that Ginger actually looked up to.
Right. Yeah.
He would talk about you see all these guys on the records and like listen to all these guys on records, but have you checked out this guy?
Right.
Who nobody's ever heard of, who's playing like working man's clubs and all that.
Yeah, totally.
He's a monster,
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. So what's next, man? Do you know what's going on?
Well, I'm going. I've got some going to Norway at the beginning of March with SNJO for I think it's either 2 or 3 gigs. Then the following week, what am I doing? I'm doing a big band gig in Ronnie Scott's the following week, and the amazing singer, it's like Amy Stewart is going to be singing that gig. So that's another one off. Hopefully, if I'll go. That'll be another one off the
so what music are you playing for that?
Something I don't even know yet. I don't even know. It's Ryan Quigley that's he's doing all the arrangements.
Yeah, Ryan's great, man.
So he's asked me just to nip down and do it. So yeah, really looking forward to that. And I'm sort of over the coming months I've got some gigs with the SNJO stuff. We're doing a project with Joe Locke, the Vibes player, where he's doing like arrangements of like songs that he loved as so we're doing, it's really cool. It's like Earth, Wind and Fire, and so it's gonna be a lot of real groove stuff. And he's actually one of my favourite tracks as a kid that I used to play along to was Moby Dick, by Led Zeppelin,
No way.
So he's done a big band arrangement for that. So I cannot wait to do that. That'll be great fun.
Aye.
So that's it's April sometime anyway.
Right.
But then doing some more stuff with Capercaillie throughout the year. I've just been kind of covering for a great drummer, Che Beresford. Been doing that, covering basically for the last sort of year or so.
Right.
So we've got some stuff over the course of the year with that, which is always...
Is that Ewan on bass?
Ewan Verno. Oh man.
Former Deacon Blue fame, for those of you that don't know.
Just a phenomenal player, phenomenal musician, and just a great guy. He's really cool. It's just a fun hang.
Yeah, I bet.
I've known Ewan since I was maybe 13, 14, when I just started playing.
Wow,
as well.
Okay, amazing.
And he was always, because he used to teach along with Sandro, actually, the great Sandro Chancho. It was like the SNJO training band thing that I used to go to on a Sunday morning, and Ewan would take the bass players and Sandro would take us. Wow, actually, you say Ryan Ross was there. We used to get lessons at the same time.
Amazing.
Another, Ryan.
He was.
But Ewan Vernal's on that, and he's just a phenomenal bass player. And, he's touring a lot with this amazing flamenco guitarist, Vicente Amigo. I might have got that wrong. I don't know. But he's ridiculous. But he's doing a lot of touring around. But
how do you decide? Just a gear nerd question. How do you decide what drums to take out for these things? Because you've got quite a big kit now, You got a big Yamaha thing with like 3 bass drums and all that.
It's one of those things. I usually, it's just, depending on the situation. A lot of the times with the Capercaillie thing, I think I've only ever really done one gig with them in the UK, and and there was a kit provided for that. Do you know what I mean? So out of pure laziness, I just use what's there pretty much. But usually, if for a session type thing or whatever, I'll take the I'll probably just use the 22 inch kick and take I've got your 10, 12, 14, 16 toms, and just take them just to cover bases. And some engineers prefer it no 10 inch tom, and some prefer it, are happy to use all of them. Some people just want 2 toms, depending. I've kind of, with people that you kind of work with regularly, you kind of figure out where they're coming from a comfort point of view, and where they want to get something up running quickly. So you kind of pick your battles in that regard. I've found.
I take it you can't really be precious either, can you?
Nah. I'm kind of open to sort of. Usually, you find like I don't know. This is only from my perspective anyway, but usually find that engineers have their kind of comfort ways of getting a really fantastic sound, and you kind of know, this engineer loves it really tuned like this, or blah blah, or some engineers you can leave the drums wide open and they'll deal with depending on the musical circumstance. But for something, let's say like the Capercaillie thing, if I were taking my kit out, it would be I probably would get away with the 10, 12, 14. I'd probably and the 22 inch kick, and just I kind of roughly have the same setup, just like 3 cymbal stands, your ride, 2 crashes,
shoot you in,
just keep it nice and easy,
for sure.
Or maybe I'm just lazy, I don't know.
Cool, man. Well, I mean, I think that's all really. That's been really insightful.
Thanks
where can people find you? Do you do the social media? Do you have a website? Do you have where can they buy your records? That kind of thing.
Well, I've got a website. It's alyncosker.co.uk. Right. Just all one word, and you can find out about my album and stuff there, and you can check it out on Spotify as well. It's on there. And the album's called KPF. Okay. I'm on. My band has a Facebook page. Just the Alyn Cosker Group. If you look that up, if you want to check out and find out what we're doing. I'm on Instagram, all that stuff.
Cool. Well, I'll link all when we put this on the internet. I'll link all these places in so people can find them quite easily. But thanks for coming in, man. Really appreciate it.
I have to say congratulations on the shop as well.
Thanks, man.
It's really phenomenal.
Thank you very much.
It's my first chance to see it, and it's really amazing. So congratulations to all you guys.
Thank you, man. And we'll catch you soon.
Great. Thanks.
Cheers, Alan.
Cheers.
Bye.